I'm Amy Kotha, and this is the PDA Parenting Podcast. I'm here to walk alongside you as we explore the challenges and the beauty of raising PDA Autistic kids. Here you'll find support, practical tools, and encouragement for the hard days, as well as reminders that your presence, your love, and your being is enough. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the PDA Parenting Podcast. Today, we're diving into one of the most common and honestly one of the most emotionally loaded struggles that we face as parents of PDA kids and teens, and that is hygiene. Teeth brushing, showering, washing hair, wearing deodorant, the list goes on and on. I hear from parents all the time who have the same question: why can't my child just do this one simple thing? And then on the other side, I hear PDA kids who are asking themselves, and often layered with a ton of shame, why can't I do this like everyone else? Why is this so hard for me? So if hygiene is a challenge in your home, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are absolutely not alone. You're not failing, and neither is your child. So, like all behaviors, it makes sense when we look at it through the lens of stress, safety, and autonomy, not through willpower or compliance. So, in my own family and with my coaching clients and in conversations with colleagues, in support groups, I see it again and again. For PDAers, hygiene is often the very first thing that falls apart when stress levels start to rise. And it makes sense when you really look at it. One way to understand this is by taking a look at the nervous system. First of all, as part of being human, our brains have this built-in function called neuroception. And neuroception is the process of our brains constantly scanning for signals of safety or danger. And when I say constantly, I mean it happens over 4 times per second. It's checking inside our bodies, our external environment, our surroundings, and even between our nervous system and another person's nervous system, or maybe in a social interaction, more than one other person's nervous system. So, neuroception is scanning constantly and interpreting it as safe or not safe, safe or not safe, safe or not safe. And if we layer in demand avoidance with this, basically our brain is also always receiving safety or threat signals from, do I have enough energy and capacity for what's being asked of me? Even if what is being asked is coming from my own body or my own mind. When the demands feel bigger than the capacity, then the body can tip into that fight, flight, or shutdown. So for our kids, this can show up in everyday things that seem maybe really small to us, like toothbrushing, but their system is reading it as unsafe. So let's think about toothbrushing. To most of us, it seems like just a quick, neutral task. But to our kids' nervous systems, it might feel like bright lights, burning toothpaste, some weird poking in my mouth, and a demand on top of all of that. Their neuroception is reading that as unsafe, and their entire body reacts according to that. Another way to look at it is with spoon theory. So imagine that your child starts the day with a certain number of spoons or bits of energy. Every single thing that they do costs spoons. So getting dressed, eating, sitting in class, handling transitions, dealing with anxiety. Some kids start the day with a full drawer of spoons, but PDA kids often start with much less. And when the spoons are low, hygiene is one of the first things to go. Not because they don't care, but because they literally don't have enough left in their tanks. And when demand avoidance comes in and amplifies all of that, it makes it so much harder. So hygiene is repetitive, it's predictable, it's not negotiable. So that makes it just the perfect storm for a PDA threat response. So when your child is resisting hygiene, it's not that won't, it's can't. Now, I can say that phrase all day long, right? But let's be real. This is where it gets brutally hard for us as parents. Because while we might know that it's can't, not won't, our brains are like screaming, but they have to. They might get judged. They're going to get bullied. They're going to be unhealthy, or they're going to be rejected from everything and everyone if they don't do this simple thing. And I hear so many parents describe this exact tension. It's knowing that the battle isn't about willfulness, but feeling terrified about the consequences if hygiene doesn't happen. It's the fear of a teacher making a comment, the worry of peers being cruel, because let's face it, kids can often be very unkind. It's the shame of being judged as the parent who isn't doing their job, on top of the fear that our child will develop problems with their teeth and then need very uncomfortable and costly dental procedures. So these are the thoughts that start circling in our heads and we get scared. And when fear drives us, what do? We push, we insist, we lay down ultimatums. But here's the paradox: the harder we push, the more their nervous system defends, and the less likely that hygiene will happen. And so both the parent and the child are left drowning in shame. So the parents are worrying, like, oh my God, what if people notice? What does this say about me? And kids are wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just take care of myself like everyone else? And that, for both parties here, is heavy shame, and it isolates us, which is why it's so important to pause, step back, and reframe what's really going on. If we can start to shift out of shame and into empathy, then we can see the real barriers that our kids are facing. And one of the biggest ones is sensory issues. Because think about this: hygiene isn't just one simple task, it's dozens of micro sensory experiences stacked on top of each other. It's like, I don't know, I'm showing my age here, but if you ever saw or heard of like the Dagwood sandwich, which was a cartoon back in the day, but he had this big sandwich and it would literally be tipping over. It's like that. It's like a Dagwood sandwich. It's toothpaste that burns their mouths. It's shampoo that stings, deodorant that feels sticky or wet or cold. None of it is neutral. And to an overly sensitive nervous system, it can feel like an assault. In my own home, this has been so real. So both of my daughters are Asian Indian and they have this gorgeous, thick, textured hair. And neither of them can handle, they just can't stand the feeling of products on their hands. But without it, then their hair tangles up and it becomes so unmanageable. And honestly, it tangles even with the product. I swear to God, I have spent years of my life detangling hair. And when they were younger, they absolutely hated my daily detangling process so much. I mean, it was horrid, just tears, screaming, and then the tangles getting worse because the process never finished. So I had to get creative. So enter Ms. Helga. So every morning at 6 a.m., I transformed into a very stressed out, overly cheerful German hairdresser with this squeaky, high pitched voice. We must conquer these knots, yeah? Hold still, darling. It will only take forever. And for a long time, this actually worked. And even now, if somebody is really getting upset, I will pull Miss Helga out. It's magic. But Miss Helga got us through mornings that otherwise would have just ended up in meltdowns. But also, let me be honest, there were days when even Miss Helga gave up. Seriously, she dropped the comb, rolled her eyes, and muttered, "Nein, I will not do this anymore." And that was me breaking character and breaking down a little bit. So some mornings, I just sat there literally with a comb in my hand, leaning my head against the wall, just wishing it could be easier for just one day. And maybe you've had your own Miss Helga too, some goofy voice or silly song or character that you pull out just to survive one of those almost impossible parenting moments. And if so, you're not alone. Again, we do what we need to do to get through. This is the constant balance that we're walking. We want our kids to move towards independence, but then how do we support them without overwhelming them? How do we let go of some of the expectations without giving up on all of them? And no one gives us a roadmap. We're literally just figuring it out as we go. And this is where creativity comes in. So, like Miss Helga, out of the box solutions, scaffolding support, lowering the pressure whenever possible. For one of my daughters, hair washing has actually become such a traumatic demand that it has just made the whole act of showering unbearable. So we sat down and brainstormed together and we collaborated and came up with a solution. There is a nearby salon where she can go once a week or once every 2 weeks for a wash and product application. So suddenly, what had been overwhelming became enjoyable and even a form of self care. And those were her words that this felt like self care, which is amazing. And once that pressure was lifted, the entire showering battle eased. Literally, right after we had this conversation, she went and jumped in the shower. It just took such a load off of her back. So, other examples that I've seen families use that are also creative, toothpaste tablets or drops instead of those messy tubes, and maybe to add in some type of novelty. There is dry shampoo, very popular now. There are amazing dry shampoos. There are rinse caps, which I don't know. I don't know where you get those, but I know they exist. There are body wash wipes. We have stacks of body wash wipes in all of the bathrooms just in case. Just when showers sometimes feel like a little too much. There are salons where, somebody can go to get their nails trimmed so you can skip those battles at home. And another great idea is keeping a container with hygiene items in the car. And I've found using little travel sized items in those containers is even better. So, small travel size toothbrushes, toothpaste, or again, those tablets, deodorants, even the gum. I think it's Orbits that has something in it that helps clean the teeth or build enamel or something. But these little travel sized items are fun and they're like adding in a little bit of novelty. So sometimes that works. And here's that paradox again. When we take off the pressure and we offer scaffolds, kids often return to hygiene on their own terms much more quickly than if we'd kept pushing them. Remember that pressure amplifies avoidance and creativity restores autonomy. So now let's talk about the part that keeps so many of us up at night, and that is the bullying problem. So this is what so many parents fear the most, that our child's going to be teased, excluded, humiliated because of having messy hair or body odor or clothes that are obviously not perfectly clean. And that fear is real because again, kids can be very cruel. But here's the thing. If we're pressuring or shaming our kids into hygiene, it is not going to protect them from bullying. In fact, it's probably going to make things worse because now not only do they feel shamed at school, now they also feel shamed at home. And we really need home to be their safe space. So, what does help? Working with your child to find supports that feel doable to them, prioritizing the most noticeable or impactful pieces first. So maybe that's the salon hair care. Maybe that's the deodorant. Maybe choosing clothing that makes skipped showers a little less obvious, or slowly building those self advocacy skills so that they can maybe say, I mean, not to a peer, but maybe to a teacher or a therapist or someone, I struggle with this and I'm working on it. And most importantly, reminding them over and over again that their worth and their belonging are never conditional on hygiene. Because in the end, our kids don't need us to control them into fitting in. They need us to walk beside them with love and creativity and compassion, especially when the world feels unkind. So here's what I want you to take away from this podcast today. Hygiene struggles in PDA are about can't, not won't. Pressure and shame only make the problem worse. Creativity, scaffolding, and lowering demands help kids move towards hygiene in their own time. And while the fear of bullying is very real, I get it, our kids' best protection is not control. It's connection, creativity, and compassion. So, parents, your love, your presence, your very being, it's enough. This path is hard, but you're not doing it wrong. You and your child are doing the very best you can in a world that doesn't yet fully understand neurodiversity or PDA. So, thank you again so much for being here with me today. And until next time, love, presence, being enough. Before we wrap up today, I want to share something I am so excited about. I want to let you know about a powerful program that I'm going to be leading soon. It's called Raising Kids with Big Baffling Behaviors, a course for parents. It's a 12-week course developed by Robyn Gobbel, and it's all about helping parents understand what's underneath baffling behaviors and how to respond with trust, compassion, and connection. If you'd like to be the first to know when the doors open, join the waitlist now. The link's in the show notes.